Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels, and I am here with a very interesting video that I was just alerted to from a channel called Alana IRL, and she's talking about accessibility specifically in Elden Ring. And you guys may have seen a clip of this video going around on Twitter, and it's been picked up by Bounding Into Comics, but that article was full of ads that I could not read, so I could not read it. So what I'm doing is I am going right to the source of the entire video, and that is the breakdown of the entire first part of our stream tonight, because I want to cover this while it's good and ready. But I have not been live on YouTube for a few days because it's now summer vacation. That's why I've been pumping out videos. Hello, Miss Spittlebuggies. How are you? I'm glad you're here. we are going to, so what we're going to do for the stream, we're going to break down this video, and then I'm going to play some Mortal Kombat. But, yeah, I've been putting out videos. I've started a new series for Disability Pride Month. I am looking up disabled serial killers and murderers. Physically disabled, because if I look up include mental illness, then that would pretty much be every serial killer. So I am just sticking with the physically disabled. And so that's our series that's for this month, because everybody's doing, like, this is why I'm... Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos, and thank you for helping with the algorithm and commenting on them. Like, it really helps. And I'm really glad you're enjoying them. And I've been putting up shorts and just trying to do some different things. I feel like a lot of people on Disability Pride Month tend to be like, this is why I'm proud to be disabled, and I don't want to, like, I'm not proud of something that I didn't do. So I'm just going to talk about the real things that disabled people have done. And I'm choosing to talk about the bad things they've done, because a lot of people tend to put disabled people in this, like, rose-colored bubble. So I'm not necessarily trying to, like, shit on disabled people, but I'm just trying to be like, see, look, we can reach the depths of depravity just as much as an able-bodied person does, and sometimes it's because of being disabled. Like today's video of Seizaku Nakamura, he was a deaf kid who his family just basically ignored him and ostracized him. And so he was basically trapped in his own mind, and he went places he shouldn't and killed 11 people. So, like, that's... I don't know what to tell you. It's just because he's deaf doesn't mean he can't be a sick fuck, right? So, but, so, yeah, but I'm here with our video. I want to get into it. I want to cover more than the 30-second clip that's going around on Twitter. So I figured we'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and we will cover her entire video, and we will see what she has to say. So let's, without further ado, let's transition into the live scene, and we'll hit play and see what this Miss Alana IRL has to say about accessibility in Elden Ring.
Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to make in this video. I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think accessibility is really important, and how common of a conversation accessibility is where FromSoft games are concerned, and why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring even.
Okay, I'll give her that. The more games that we can play, the better. According to one of my buddies in the BFGC, they're adding, or they're working on adding a feature that would be like a full audio navigation assist, which would be great, because I remember in the beta I was just wandering around and had no idea where the frig I was going. So, I mean, that would be great, and I'm with you so far.
Even though it is already currently their most accessible game, there's a lot of room for improvement. But Elden Ring, even though it is already currently their most accessible game.
It's their most accessible game? What accessibility features does Elden Ring have? Colorblind stuff? And closed captions, colorblind stuff, maybe some anti-seizure, like no flashy flash. probably that type of stuff.
There's a lot of room for improvement. But we're also going to talk about... I don't even know where to start. There are a bunch of negative reviews on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard.
Now, what does too hard mean? And how many people are saying it's too hard? Is it like... Really? Holy shit.
I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will Shadow
If Asmongold quit
of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do for...
So, either it's actually too hard or they just don't want to play. Okay.
Elden Ring, because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do, I never thought that they would admit it. Now, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there, they are consistent. And that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear.
So, okay, so her take so far seems to be, I told you so, I guess? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's saying, I told you so. I told you there was gonna be performance issues. I told you it was gonna be, like, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's going, haha, I told you so, and, like, rubbing it in a little bit. But maybe it's just her tone. I don't know. We'll see. Let's continue.
Which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC, and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid, and thankfully have been patched. So, though, has the difficulty. There are, like, two sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that, like, you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games. No. While there are things that FromSoft games do incredibly well, like, I am obsessed with their boss designs and their animation. Like, for all the things we love about it, their bosses are so impressive in terms...
Okay, so not having the ability to play these games, I don't have anything to add, but I feel like she's like, so she plays Elden Ring herself. I can tell by the way she's talking. She also plays Elden Ring. But it sounds like she's, like, hate plays it. Which, like, you know those people who go, I love this about a game, but all this other stuff is shit. But, and I don't know why I play this game, but I load it up every single day and play it for hours while bitching about how I hate this game. Like, that's what she seems to me to be like. But we'll see. Well, again, this could be her tone. She has a very a very blunt tone.
In terms of art direction and animation, they don't even need to be. Like, oh my god, they're just so good at that. The sense of discovery is unparalleled. The uniqueness of the worlds is near unparalleled. Like, there are a lot of things that FromSoft games do really well. But saying part of the appeal is beating the... But it's not part of the appeal. It's the entire design of the game. It's the whole game.
Yes, they designed their games to actually make you think and make you play them. They're not gonna just hand you the solution like 80% of today's games. And I think that is the biggest problem. That, like, I'll use The Last of Us as an example. It is a genre of game that I have a great deal of difficulty staying interested in. Is that the game's fault? Is the game a bad game because I have trouble staying interested in its playability and its mechanics? No. Are these games like Elden Ring inherently bad games because they make the player use their brain? No. You guys just don't like to use your brains in a game. You want your game to hand you the solution. That's what it sounds like to me.
It is the core ethos, the core game design of any FromSoft game, is that you are supposed to...
Camera for a second?
Huh?
Turn off the camera for a second.
Oh.
The screen's not shared.
Oh, shit. I'll go to...
Oh, no. I'm good. I'm off camera.
Oh.
I'm just gonna take this. Go back. I need that screen open. That's why I have the mouse over here generally. So I can be off camera and do these fixes.
Okay.
I just literally looked over and went, oh shit, the screen's not sharing because we did this on a whim.
But yeah, it sounds like these people that are whining are angry because the game isn't handing them the answer.
There you go.
That is what this sounds like to me.
Yeah.
My game is not handing me the answer easily enough, therefore this game sucks. That's what this sounds like.
to approach a boss. Be willing to die the first several times. As you assess their moveset, you figure out the puzzle that is beating this boss. You've retained information about their movesets, about what kills you, about how you can avoid it, and you roll into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing the game well.
Okay, still, that should be a good sign of any game. You shouldn't be able to just walk in and frickin' roll over a boss. That defeats them being a boss. You're basically going good for the designers of these games for making bosses. Good for them for doing their job, okay?
The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games.
Yes.
The whole point is for them to be extremely challenging.
Yes. That would be why they're hard. So, for you guys to complain that they're hard is kind of stupid.
I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to the things the game gives you that can make it way easier.
Now, I would like us to remember that at 3 minutes and 5 seconds into this video, where she's talking about accessibility, that she has said, in her own words, that people complaining about Elden Ring's DLC being too hard should get good. Okay? I want us all to pause and remember that. Now let's continue.
That's not to say you're not allowed to complain, okay? We are also really weird. I'm already tangenting inside my tangent. We are really weird about acting like FromSoft games can't be criticized. They are immune to criticism. Like, you are allowed to complain about finding it too hard or feeling like a certain boss isn't balanced. Or...
Why are we saying that FromSoft games are immune to criticism? Like, I don't think I've ever heard of a game that hasn't been criticized from any developer. Like, I don't understand why you keep saying that this particular developer is immune to criticism. And why are, like, there's no, you haven't backed any of that up. You've just said it like 4 times.
Feeling like a hitbox is like, you can complain about those things and be valid. Stop acting like any criticism of a FromSoft game makes you a fake gamer. First tangent completed. I apologize. Back to the video. Course correcting. Patch dropped for the DLC, meaning that
Whoa!
To the video. Course correcting. Patch dropped for the DLC.
Whoa! What kind of jump cuts were that? Okay.
Meaning
I heard that.
This to me would indicate that FromSoft. Gonna lean over a little. kind of agrees with the criticisms, which is pretty nuts. Miyazaki did say that he wanted Shadow of the Erdtree to be the hardest thing they'd ever made, and it seems like that worked very well. People are finding it extremely difficult, even people who have been a long-time FromSoft fan. That was the intention. I mean, it would have been crazy to let you just, like, finish Elden Ring and then just continue as though you were still playing Elden Ring. Like, they did have to up the difficulty for the DLC to even justify its own existence, in my opinion. But basically, attack and damage negation curve scaling of the Shadow Realm blessings have been revised. The attack and damage negation has been increased for the first half.
Okay, so they've nerfed a bunch of things. That's what it sounds like.
Maximum amount of blessing enhancements, and the second half will now be more gradual. The attack and damage negation granted by the final level of blessing enhancements has been slightly increased. So again, I take this to mean that they like kind of agree, and they were like, "Oh, we maybe did make this too hard. Okay, our bad." Which is
so they listened, and they didn't do anything. Like, from what those patch notes sound like, it doesn't sound like they're handing you the answer any easier. They're just like making things a little less OP. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like they're like, "Here guys, you think this DLC is too hard? Okay, well here's how you play it." Like, that's not what they did. So
just super interesting.
I don't know why you're like, "Oh, this is really interesting and weird." Like, they want their Do you know what's weird? The fact that you don't understand that they want people to continue to purchase their products. So if enough people leave enough reviews going, "Dude, this product is virtually unplayable." It's like, the bosses are like, we get that bosses are supposed to be bosses, but Jesus Christ. Right? And so if enough people say that, and they go, "Get good, scrub," do you know how many people are going to uninstall that game and then tell their friends not to buy it? They have to nerf it a little bit because they want money. That's not weird or interesting. That's business.
It's that, oh my god, I have so many opinions. This video's gonna turn out so mad.
Pardon? Yup.
See, first, Shadow of the Erdtree tells you what you need to do to get good. And I think really, it just requires patience. You may be familiar with scatter tree fragments. I'll keep this quick in case you literally are familiar, but basically, this is effectively a means of an accessibility feature that exists inside of Shadow of the Erdtree, because it is optional, and I love that they've done this. So, Scattertree Fragment is a new upgrade material in Elden Ring, debuting in the Shadow of Erdtree DLC. Scattertree Fragments are optional consumables that can be used to enhance simultaneously offensive and defensive capabilities at any sites of grace, acting like a permanent boost to your DLC damage dealt and damage negation. Basically, you go find these things, they will make you stronger in the game.
That's not an accessibility feature. Do you understand what an accessibility feature is? That's a buff to your character. That is not an accessibility feature. It's an optional buff. Yet she's telling you guys to get good, and she doesn't even understand what an accessibility feature is, and she wants to talk about accessibility. Thank you, able-bodied person, for weighing in on accessible gaming. Thank you very much. Your input so far has been stellar.
If you are having trouble with a certain boss, you literally just have to go find these things.
That's not an Jesus Christ! That's like saying the fucking talismans you can equip in Mortal Kombat to, like, while you're playing fucking offline single player mode is an accessibility feature. Meanwhile, everybody does it. Everybody uses it. It's literally a character buff to help you beat bosses. It's not a fucking accessibility feature. Jesus Christ, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to break down your whole video, and maybe you would have some nice, intelligent things to say. Why do people make me break my my vows? Why does this happen?
They are made solely for the DLC. They only work in the DLC. They do not work in the base game. They are there specifically for players who are having trouble with any bosses that are already there, which is totally fine, by the way. You're allowed to have trouble with Elden Ring. You're allowed to find it hard.
Why do you have to talk like that? Like, you're talking out the side of your mouth. It's okay. You're gonna find Elden Ring hard. You stupid idiot. Like, why do you have to be so rude? So what if people find it hard? It's probably supposed to be hard, and they probably made it a little bit too OP, and they realized that, so they toned it down. Like, you don't have to be so up your own ass about it.
But they have been put in the game to give you that option. I love that they make this stuff optional. That it's like, yes, you have to go through effort to be able to do this, and in theory, you need to look up a walkthrough and find the locations of them. But I love that it's like a thing that is available to all players who are having trouble. Leave the boss. Coolest thing about Elden Ring in general, for again, where accessibility is concerned, when new players to FromSoft games are concerned, is that you can just leave at any time. Go find these. The DLC will become easier for you.
Again, being able to leave the boss area is not an accessibility feature. Did you do any reading? Any reading about what an accessibility feature in a video game might be before making this video? Or do you just, like, throw the word accessibility out there? Or do you just mean, oh my god, she just means user interface accessibility, and she's gonna try to tie that in to, like, actual disability accessibility? I just figured that out. Holy fuck. She means
That is... They put it in there for you, and I just feel like maybe a lot of people have missed it. Which I guess is, like, part of also the design of Elden Ring, right? Is, like, FromSoft games don't over-explain anything to you. But, yeah, I'm finding this stuff very funny. These games are hard. We should be allowed to criticize things we don't like about them. They're not immune to criticism. I do feel like Shadow of the Erdtree literally has told you the thing that you can do. Okay,
so does she like that it's hard, or does she not like that it's hard? I can't tell whether she's glad that it's difficult or not, because she's pivoted back and forth about 5 times. In 1 minute, it's supposed to be hard, and it's a good thing that it's hard, and you should just get good. And then on the other hand, all FromSoft games are hard, and we have a right to complain that they're hard. And look, see, they even agreed that they're hard. That's funny. Which position do you actually want to stay on?
To make it easier, but same time, them patching it would imply to me that they were also like, maybe a bit much, which is funny. I'm not telling you to get good.
Funny?
I'm telling you to use all of the features available to you to cater your experience, which is the coolest thing about accessibility in general. It is time to talk about the incredibly cool Virtual Pro XR glasses. If you haven't heard me talk about them before, it's so cool. And there are so many ways to play. There's a neckband for remote gaming on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. There's a mobile accessory to make sure you can play your Switch on the go without it needing to be docked. You can plug it into your mobile phone, and you have 1,000 nits. Using ultra clarity technology, they have edge-to-edge clarity, making adjustments to make sure you have the sharpest image. So not only are these like incredibly cool and fun and great for planes, on top of that, there is some fantastic built-in stereo audio, and a bunch of really helpful modes and extra uses like co-op, like meaning you and your best friend could be sitting next to each other on a flight, both wearing these glasses, both playing Mario Kart, with giant screens that nobody else can see. The glasses are also super lightweight. It's a really comfortable, really slim design. Right? So make sure you grab your Virtual Pro dock pack and use my code Alana to get 10% off.
and probably would cause like it's not just inaccessible to blind people, but could you imagine the seizures that thing would cause? Holy shit.
To argue against more customization options. So This is the second half of this video, where I'm going to talk specifically
Okay.
about accessibility. And
Now we're going to talk specifically about accessibility, apparently. And so now we're going to talk about accessibility specifically. So we will find out if she actually knows what a feature of accessibility is.
even just a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility in Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various
I'm sorry. Did an able-bodied person just say that people aren't understanding the conversation around game accessibility? Do you have a disabled spouse, perchance? Do you have a disabled child? Do you live in the world of disability? Or are you just speaking like, what's that, like, Jesus, okay.
various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. When people are asking for accessibility, are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned.
Again, thank you for being so... Ugh.
There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid.
Okay. Before I yell at you, I'm going to let you finish your sentence.
What does she mean by kinds? Just like the weird biblical kinds? Like, what does she mean by kinds of disability? There are so many different kinds of disabled. Oh, this is gonna be good.
Now, before I yell, I'm going to let her finish her thought about... Let's back it up.
It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause.
I thought you could leave the area. I thought you could, and can't you, like, bring up your map or something and just leave it on the map? That's what you can do in games like Diablo. You can, like, Also, why are you playing when your 2-year-old is awake? There's a lot of times when 2-year-olds are not awake when you can play Elden Ring. Why are you choosing to play Elden Ring when your child that can, like, literally eat whatever, like, anything because they're 2 and don't know any better is wandering around the house? Why is it that as a blind person I get looked at like, oh my god, how could she possibly parent children? How could she possibly take care of them? Meanwhile, there are dumb bitches over here going, I can't play Elden Ring when my 2-year-old's around, therefore I'm disabled. Carry on. Let's see what other stupidity you have to say.
It is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket.
How about you don't play the game while the child is vertical? As I just stated. Like I said, they do stupid shit, like try to put forks in sockets. Why are you on the computer while they're doing that? Why, like, duh. Do you know what your disability is? Dumb bitch. That's what your disability is, not being a parent.
a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints, but when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow. So I moved to the US, yeah, I was a socket, a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints, but when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow. So
You were bullied for calling an outlet a PowerPoint. You know what? I'd believe it. You moved to the US, I'd believe it.
trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who you temporarily have trouble playing video games.
Yeah, generally when you break your wrist, you go, shit, I can't hold the controller. Guess I can't play video games till the cast is off. Well, that fucking sucks. Or, if you have a PC and you can play with the mouse, well then you can just prop your other hand up. Or if it's your mouse hand, you can just switch hands and you'll have to deal with it. That's not a disability. And I've known a few people who have broken like an arm or a leg. And you know what they haven't called themselves once? I'll give you one guess what they haven't called themselves once. Just one. And it starts with a dis and ends with an abled.
You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games, unironically.
You have tendonitis in your... I'm sorry, is your tendonitis debilitating? Are you receiving disability checks because you have tendonitis? Are you serious?
That is a thing, from tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with, unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award.
Oh, you're part of the God of War Ragnarok team, huh? Well, why didn't you make it fully accessible then? Why didn't you follow what frickin' Naughty Dog did? Why'd you half-ass it? I wanted to play that game. I can't play that game without help. Why did you guys not go all the way? Miss, I know so much about accessibility.
Show to like highlight this particular thing is like I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm gonna be in pain and have to like ice my wrist afterwards and not really be able to play it. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really fucking hard is also appealing to people with disabilities.
Thank you for speaking for us. You know what would have been a lot better? Is if you had actually, like, had a disabled gamer on your channel to talk about this and like done an interview style. Like, you could have been like, hey, I worked on the God of War Ragnarok game and I'm interviewing a disabled game. You could have even asked one of the many consultants that I know worked on that game with you to appear on your channel. Or did you piss off everybody because you said, oh, I'm disabled too because I have tendonitis and a child? Is that why you can't interview anybody? Because you pissed everybody off by claiming to be disabled because your wrists hurt and you have a kid? My wrists hurt too. I have 2 kids. You know what my disability is? 2 glass eyes. I don't claim my kids, my wrist or any... Oh my god.
They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard for them to beat. They're not asking you to give them an easy mode and make it easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities. so they can still enjoy really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, yeah, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled, which, you know, fuck off. Second.
Yes. It sounds so much better when the able-bodied person tells other able-bodied people to fuck off on behalf of a disabled person, because we don't have a voice. We don't have a voice for ourselves. We need you guys to speak for us. So thank you for that. I don't know what I would do without you.
And people just assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not an easy, it's not even less difficulty, it's more options. But third is the unique challenge with FromSoft games of completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversially enough, but yes, if you use summons, you've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want. But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point of pride for people. And how do you avoid taking away that point of pride? That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans just love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time...
Why is Elden Ring held on such high regard? Like, I've never... Like, all of these things that she's saying, like, because I watch, like, Asmongold, I watch a few other streamers that play Elden Ring, and, like, I've heard them talk pleasantly and happily about the game, and that they enjoy it, but I've never heard, like, I must beat this game. This is, like, such a point of pride for me. I have to beat this game. Like, this is, like, do or die. Like, I don't... Oh, Twitch is having issues over... Oh, no worries, Spittlebuggies. But yeah, like, I don't understand where she's coming from. Like, these things that she's claiming about Elden Ring, I don't... She's not backing them up.
Time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's a Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games that have that effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have catered to their own accessibility needs. Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like, just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like, it's, like, I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with someone, you didn't finish the game. That you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally that. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the Scatter Tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing. Or
yeah, and people are going to rag on you for using them or not using them, and that's just how it is. People are gonna rag on you for using buffs in any game. Oh, you needed that buff, ha ha ha. That's normal. That's fucking shit talk. Like, who cares?
The unique challenges that we have because we're all fucking different people, right? Here's my pitch, okay, gamers? Hear me out. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game? Are people going to reply to each other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, you summons, you died, and beat you summons, and beat the game. Yeah, people are going to be dicks. But
really? Okay.
But I feel like it would
That was an interesting way to make fun of people than the way they talk, but alright.
Yeah, people are gonna be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of the extra accessibility specific gatekeeping. Like all of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one's asking for less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's a...
Or you could just ignore the people that are against accessibility options. That could be a thing. Because there are way more people that think they're really cool than there are that go, oh, that's stupid. Fucking easy mode. Nah. Because, like, yeah, I've heard that talk, but I've heard it maybe like 5% of the time that I've heard, wow, that's really amazing. I'm so glad that games are doing that now. So, where is this, like, holy fuck? Okay, I'm about to say something, and this is coming from somebody who is really struggling to kick the negative way she thinks, okay? Why the fuck are you coming at this in such a negative light? Like, you literally think everybody hates accessibility. Like, that's how you're acting. Like, there's this wave of people that hate accessibility options. Meanwhile, most times, I would say about 8 out of 10 times, the response is, holy shit, that's really cool. That's I wish more games would do that. Not, that's cheating. Like, so why are you acting like that's such a big problem?
Large
Just
list of
ignore it
things
all.
that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but that can make it easier to put like less button presses or there's a large list of things that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know? But what if you get a screen at the end with the credits that shows exactly how you played it or what options you had on or off? In my head, this would have...
I'm sorry, what would that make... How would that make anything more accessible? This was supposed to be a video talking about accessibility, and you worked on the accessibility team at Santa Monica Studios for God of War Ragnarok, and we are 14 minutes into a 17-minute video, and you have not given one constructive idea on how to make Elden Ring more accessible other than an ending screen that lists the options used to beat the game that you can share. How does that make it more accessible? And also, how does that negate the gatekeeping? That makes the gatekeeping worse. Show me your screen and show me your end screen, bro. You didn't beat the game if I don't see your end screen, bro. Can you? Oh my god. That is like the worst idea ever. And not anything to do with accessibility again. And all you've talked about for accessibility options is button pressing prompts. So you literally don't know anything about 99% of the other features. Like, as a blind person, yeah, I'll focus on the screen reader and audio stuff when I'm talking about accessibility, but I'm going to also mention that there's like the ability to have subtitles, and that there are, you know, motor control things, and there's like a seizure assist, like for Last of Us and stuff like it. Like, I will mention that there are other modes for other disabilities, because I don't think that blindness is the only goddamn disability in the world. Just like apparently she thinks that tendonitis, A, is a disability, and B, is the only one that's worth talking about.
alleviate a lot of that discourse. People are saying like no accessibility
She's
whatsoever.
catering to the hater side. She really is. Companies shouldn't be forced into accessibility. I just appreciate the games that do more. You know what? You're right, because they are private companies. But like, and it is a free market, right? So if you choose, if you believe that accessibility is not worth the money to invest into your game, that's fine. It's just that there's gonna be a game base that won't buy it. But I'm with you, Spittlebuggies. I don't believe that people should be like, I don't believe, for example, the ADA should be amended to say all video games must be accessible. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that should be a thing.
A lot of that discourse. People are saying like no accessibility whatsoever because I want to be able to play Elden Ring the exact way that I want to be able to play it. And
Where is that being said though? Like, where are your tweets? Where are your Reddit posts? Where are Rev says Disu would put up, like, he would make a statement like that and then he would put up screenshots of tweets or something like saying that. Where's your evidence that people are saying, I don't want any accessibility in Elden Ring? Like, where is that being said?
I feel like those people are shooting themselves in the foot because what if they get one of those temporary, situational, or short-term disabilities? You break your wrist and you're not going to be able to play Elden Ring. You have a kid, suddenly you can't play Elden Ring. Like,
that's not a disability, that's a life choice. Oh my god. Having a kid is not a disability. It just means you have to rework your schedule. Holy crap.
I feel like they say it when they don't have disabilities, but in 10 years when you do have some kind of disability, I feel like you're gonna retroactively kind of regret that you were like, absolutely not.
Oh my god, you actually think you're disabled. Oh my god. You may say that now, but when you have one of those disabilities in 10 years, when you're like me with painful wrists and a child, you'll know the pain of being disabled, don't you know? And then you'll really want to play video games, and you won't be able to because you'll have gimpy wrists and you'll have a kid, and god damn it, it'll be horrible. Her left tit told her. Apparently. That's basically where she's pulling all this information from. This is pathetic. Holy Jesus Christ. This is... I can't believe she's speaking as though she's disabled, when all she's got wrong with her is tendinitis, and she has a kid.
Don't change anything. I finished Tunic. That game rules and is very hard. And after I finished it, I beat the final boss that you don't even have to, well, spoilers. She was so hard. She was so hard. It took me days. Tunic has an accessibility option in it that you can use to... It's basically God mode. I think you can prevent all damage. I beat the game without that and felt an accessibility option
God
in
mode.
it.
You can prevent all damage. That is a buff. That's not an accessibility feature, and if it's in the accessibility settings, it shouldn't be.
That you can use to... It's basically God mode. I think you can prevent all damage. I beat the game without that and felt so accomplished and so proud of myself. And
my spinal stenosis tells her no. Right? There's literally a blind person and a paraplegic watching this video going, fuck you, bitch!
I don't care that that mode is there or that option is there to help other people who still want to experience the game without that, I think that's perfectly fine. But I would have liked just a little something at the end, even an achievement, to give me the credit for doing the hardest fights on what is effectively the hardest in-game possible difficulty because I didn't have those accessibility options on. You know?
It's not an accessibility, oh my god! I wanted an achievement because I didn't have the prevents all damage buff on. Fuck off! You're a fucking... Jesus Christ, go be a game journalist. Go be a game journalist. That's basically the caliber of gamer you are at this point.
You know what I mean? That's my thought, basically. Elden Ring is already the most accessible FromSoft game. If you're complaining about Shadow of the Erdtree being too hard, you don't have to play it. You are definitely allowed to criticize them. And I also think you should explore more because you will find another build or another means to make things easier. Like, I think you're being impatient is probably what's happening realistically. This is for people who obviously don't have accessibility problems. But what if, so that we could actually allow disabled players to play these games, which is a thing I care about, you just... the end of the game, you just get a screen with all your stats.
Yeah, because that's what'll fix everything for disabled players. A screen at the end that shows all your stats. And everything will be right with the world of accessible gaming. As long as we have the end screen that shows our stats, everything will be fine. She's not even a natural blonde, but no one would know. That's good. That's good. Holy shit.
How many times you died, what options you did or did not have on. So people can still brag and still show off, because again, that is clearly a thing people like doing with these games. I just feel like it would solve a lot of this conversation. It's really not about asking Miyazaki, FromSoft, to make the game easier.
She was a writer on Ragnarok.
Oh god. Okay, now the story's gonna be shit then. If she writes the way she speaks?
Where accessibility is concerned, it's about allowing more people to play it. And sometimes people just need different settings to be able to do that. More customization to be able to do that.
Okay, but you didn't... You didn't talk about any of the settings. You were like, there are settings that are available, and we should be allowed, and they should be allowed to be used. And we should have an end screen that shows whether you use them or not, and that'll make everything better. That's what you took 17 minutes to say. You didn't take the time as somebody that worked on an accessible game, and you have 645,000 subscribers, and you could have, as someone who worked on God of War Ragnarok, taken the time to educate your channel, as much as I hate when people who aren't disabled fucking do that. You could have taken the time to educate your subscribers on what accessible gaming is.
Basically, yeah.
But-
I'm so surprised.
But you chose to be like, yeah, there are some... This is a paraphrase. There are some things that make games accessible. One of them is button prompts, and that means a lot to me because I have tendinitis. That makes me disabled. Oh yeah, I have a kid too. That also makes me disabled. Therefore, I know exactly what it means to be disabled. So let me speak on accessible gaming. Here's what would make things more accessible. A screen at the end of the game that showed all of our stats. Video. What a big missed opportunity for you to not only learn more about the accessibility features that you don't know about, but educate your subscribers on those features. And yet you chose to be like as vague as you possibly could about what the accessibility options that already exist are. You didn't even go into like use the game that you worked on as an example of what features could exist and what features could be put into Elden. You didn't even say, you said Elden Ring was FromSoft's most accessible game, and you didn't even list any actual accessibility features in the game. You were like, there are these items you can equip that make it easier to beat bosses. That's not an accessibility feature. You know what is? A screen reader, a navigational assistance, colorblind assistance, closed captioning, haptic feedback. If you're using a controller to play the game. Ledge assist, so that you don't fall, like if you have trouble controlling your joystick. Or if you're blind. You know, just those I know. Here's another one. Large text, for example, for the visually impaired. Like, just so many features that you could have mentioned. Puzzle assist. I've never played any games ever, and I don't care, but sometimes people are weird. She's a blow soft because she's not making no one hard. That's funny. That's great. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to hear her just go on and on and on and be like, I know what it's like to be disabled, and literally know nothing about what it's like to be disabled. I'm glad I covered that whole video though, because I wanted to cover more than just that clip. I knew something told me that I just should watch the whole thing. And boy, oh boy. Yep. Yes, like and share. I will be ending and restarting with Mortal Kombat because I have to preserve this and make it a one topic stream so it gets properly shared. I'm gonna end and restart. So I'll be